Most people assume a state center is a singular, mathematically verifiable point on a map, a fact produced by geometry. But Oregon has three different centers, or none at all. There's Central Point in Jackson County, Central Point in Clackamas County, and Post in Crook County. Calculating the geometric midpoint between these three locations places the center in a featureless pasture. No name, no marker. This ambiguity led Oscar S. Adams, the senior mathematician for the U.S. Coast and Geodetic Survey, to declare that geographical centers are a mathematical fiction. If the federal authority admits a physical center is impossible to calculate, then a center functions as a human invention, an anchor we create to organize our reality. In 1852, a settler named Isaac Constant found a practical center in the Rogue River Valley. It was a literal crossroads where two major dirt trading routes physically intersected. That center held for 30 years, until the Oregon and California Railroad laid its tracks 4 miles away in 1883, leaving the original crossroads stranded. Rather than fading away, the citizens took a radical step. They pooled their land and physically relocated their entire village half a mile west to meet the new railroad line. The residents built their own depot in the middle of what is now Pine Street. The original intersection eventually became an interstate off-ramp, a ghost of the town's former self. Central Point kept its identity by prioritizing its function over its original location. To these settlers, a center was an active decision that had to be renewed to survive. This organic movement contrasts with Post, Oregon, the official federal center. It sits in the high desert, possessing no regional gravity, and takes its name from a local postmaster rather than a physical landmark. The absurdity of defining centers by decree peaked in 1959. Two men from California used a plastic map and a needle to claim that the geographic center of the entire United States was a logging camp called Pondosa, Oregon. National newspapers ran the story almost immediately. This was the exact moment Alaska and Hawaii became states, and the public was desperate for a new coordinate to anchor the changing map. The federal government issued a correction within 24 hours. They placed the real center in South Dakota, stripping Pondosa of its national title instantly. Once the fictional designation vanished, Pondosa collapsed. Within a month, its sawmill closed, the entire town was auctioned off as individual units, and a massive fire destroyed much of the remaining infrastructure. Forcing a central identity onto a location rarely works. Without an underlying network of mutual aid or infrastructure, the center eventually dissolves. Modern Central Point in Jackson County offers a different model. It functions as a successful center by maintaining the specific systems that keep the region operational. It links a massive grain elevator that organizes the valley's agriculture with a specialized campus training rescue dogs to translate sounds for the deaf. These disparate groups form a tight, load-bearing network of mutual support. The town's chosen symbol is the Jackson County Fair Ferris wheel. It is a machine that rotates constantly, but it never travels. This describes the core trait of a surviving center. It does not seek to expand endlessly across the map. It focuses entirely on sustaining the load-bearing networks immediately around it. The Rogue brands of the region recently tested the limits of this focus under extreme pressure. Oregon Brewing Company, makers of Rogue ales, attempted to survive by continuously expanding its footprint. That strategy ended in a total Chapter 7 bankruptcy filing and the dissolution of the brand. But Rogue Creamery took the exact opposite path. To survive, they liquidated their peripheral farm stand in Grants Pass and consolidated every resource back into their original shop in Central Point. That defensive contraction allowed for controlled transformation. Their blue cheese became the first American cheese to win world champion at the World Cheese Awards. Both the settlers in 1883 and the creamery in 2024 chose the integrity of the center over the safety of the periphery. Whether moving the village to the tracks or cutting a farm stand to save the shop, survival required a radical focus on the core. Oscar Adams was right. A mathematical center is a fiction. In practice, the real center is the point an organism identifies as its heart, the anchor it chooses when it finally decides